Hello. Welcome back to the Thread of Thoughts podcast, you guys. I am your host, Tia. I know it's been a long time since I've been on the podcast and talking to you guys, and I think I've told you guys before that just school is kicking my ass. Grad school is really kicking my ass, and I'm just doing everything possible to push through, and it's pulling me away from a lot of my hobbies and outlets and other endeavors, but it's a priority. So, yeah, let's get straight into today's topic. Today we are talking about my corporate icks. Okay. Workplace pet peeves, whatever you want to call it. I've worked a lot of jobs and discovered that these are some of the things that I just really can't stand. I worked remotely for 3 years, but now I'm on a hybrid schedule, which I am still thankful for. I am thankful for employment, period. But coming back into a physical workplace setting, it involves encountering many different personalities, many different work ethics, many different processes. And some of these things you understand and some of these things you just don't. But you just got to keep it going. You just got to keep going. You just got to keep it pushing. Maybe some things aren't meant to be understood. Who knows? I've done a pet peeves episode before. It's actually titled, "You Know What Grinds My Gears?" And, in that episode, I discussed some of my general pet peeves, but nothing really specific. So with these pet peeves that I'm discussing today, they are specifically dedicated to work. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys about this. All right. So before I hop into my list of piss offs, I want to provide an image of my workspace because I think it would be very helpful. So I work in this sort of open floor plan, but there's a specific door that you have to badge in to enter. And when you enter, you see the open floor plan where it's like 5 of us who sit in this office. The office doesn't give me atrocious cubicle vibes necessarily because I've definitely experienced that before, especially working in a call center. But with how our desks are, it's a little different. So we're all connected with these small barriers, but not major tall barriers, where it's like you have to stand to see the next person, beside you. I like to call it a pod. It's like a little pod. I feel like that's the best way to describe it. So I hope that visual that I attempted to provide makes sense because it's just, yeah. Personally, I strongly dislike, I'm trying to stray away from the word hate, but I strongly dislike open floor plans because I don't like when people can hear me like work or see me work. My own office is highly preferred, especially after working remote for 3 years. It's just kind of like, yeah. So let's get into this. Some of these to me are like unwritten workplace rules too, but anyways, let's do it. So number 1, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to share this with y'all. Okay. It's so much. Oh my gosh, it's so much. Number 1, scheduled meetings during the first, last, or lunch hour of the workday. Literally, this is such an inconsiderate thing to do. Let me explain. So the first hour, I just feel like, please allow people to settle in, unpack, fix and eat their breakfast if they need to, fix and drink their coffee if they need to, turn on their computers, let the computers restart or reboot, check their emails, etc., etc. Just give people time because many of us aren't morning people to begin with. So expecting people to be mentally prepared for speaking, listening, note-taking, whatever their role is in whatever meeting, it's just not right in my opinion. And under the big scope of things, yes, everyone should be ready to work at the start of their shift, but like have some consideration. Now, lunch hour is pretty straightforward to me. And I think it's really important to also check to see when other people take their lunch because not everyone takes their lunch from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Some people may prefer earlier lunches like 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. or later lunches like 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. When I worked in retail, I always tried to take a lunch as late as possible because that meant that there was less time I had to work for the remainder of my shift. It was always just easier to keep going straight through the shift, take a break later and come back and be like, oh, I just have one more hour left. If you know, you know. But I was saying, just check with others to see when they are taking their lunch. People use their lunches for appointments, interviews. I know I have. But meetings during a person's lunch hour should be a no, especially if they didn't agree to be flexible with that. Give people time to step away from their desks and their work at their preferred time. Also, speaking of lunch, I don't like getting or eating lunch with coworkers either. I don't want to walk to the food trucks with you. I don't want to place an order with you. Lunch is really my alone time, and people just fail to realize that being around people for 8 hours is a lot. And I really think lunch needs to be the time to separate from everyone's personalities and just take a breather. It's so important. And a lot of people don't get that. As far as the last hour goes, I feel like that's pretty straightforward too. But for me, my last hour, that's the time for me to complete and finalize certain tasks or items that need to be completed by the end of the business day. This is the time for me to wrap up and sort of have a sense of how my next day should look. Number 2, random calls on Teams. Just because I feel like I'm about to get loud because I'm about to get passionate. Random calls on Teams. I just think that just because someone is green and available on Teams does not mean they're prepared to speak. If you need to speak with someone via phone call, notify them via chat to ensure that they are ready to have a conversation with you. Number 3, unnecessary meetings. Meetings that could have simply been a fucking email. Simple. Number 4, speaking of meetings, this is kind of, it's little to others, but it's big to me. Meetings with lowercase titles. I don't know why this bothers me so much. I think it's because English was my favorite subject in school. Still kind of is. So now entering the professional world, I'm like, huh? And I'm not an English perfect person myself. I guess the main thing for me too is that these are professionals typing like we're texting. And I think it depends on the generation too, because to me it's like, okay, I went through all this schooling to know how to type and write professionally, all for a manager to be like, thanks, THX. And then the signature would be like, get iOS for Outlook. Like I'm over here writing the most professional emails and oh my gosh. And don't let it be a man because they don't give a fuck. It's just like, I'm over here doing the whole good evening, comma, write my message, right? Signature is warm regards, Tia, my title, my division, my department, my whatever, like everything, my location, my cell phone number, everything. And then they're just like, thanks, Bob. It's just, I don't know. I just prefer to type professionally in a professional setting on social media and texting and everything. I type all lowercase myself. I think it's cute, but different things at different times, And so when a manager is putting a meeting on my schedule and it just says meeting with Tia, everything's lowercase, my name's lowercase, everything's lower. I'm just like, huh? What? And you're a manager? Anyways, number 5, this is a big one. Tasks that shouldn't be tasks. Hear me out, okay? I had someone ask me the other day, can you add a reminder to my calendar about blah, blah, blah? To me, I'm like, okay. The time that you're taking to type this up to me and ask me this through Teams, you could have typed this up and place this on your own calendar your damn self. Shit like that really pisses me off because it also wasn't like a verbal request where we're face to face and she's like, hey, can you do this for me? You're typing this, meaning you have access to your calendar in front of you. Also, I'm no one's assistant, so do it yourself. All right, number 6, workaholics. Now, this is how I view workaholics. I have 2 perspectives when it comes to workaholics. So first are the people who don't necessarily obsess over their work. They just have a large workload forcing them to work really hard and work really long hours to the point where their work is sort of out of their control and it's not what they want or desire, but it has to get done in order to maintain their job. It's sort of like they prefer to tend to their personal lives a lot more, but work is just taking over. They're sort of unintentionally workaholics, and someone on the outside may view them as such, right? I've been there before. Next is someone who has nothing to look forward to outside of work and is openly obsessed with their work. They love working long hours. They love working compulsively. That's their personality, right? Today, I'm talking about those who love to work a lot because they have nothing else to look forward to. And now listen, I work hard. I do. I do what I need to do. I'm good at what I do, but I am very strict with my time. And I used to not be like this, but it doesn't matter. You realize that these companies don't give a fuck. They really don't. You need to just come there, do your job. At the end of the day, it's like you're just another number to them. And I feel like that's something that Gen Z just doesn't play about, period. Some millennials as well. But as soon as 5 o'clock hits, the laptop is closed. It's closed. And this is what I love about Gen Z, because we really do cherish family and hobbies and outlets and relationships. We don't want to reach any level of burnout. We don't want to reach any level of unhappiness. We just don't play about that. Our lives just don't fully revolve around work. And I don't understand why that's so hard for some companies and some individuals to grasp. Number 7, people who are super pressed for fast email responses. Then you have some people who try to CC your boss like that's going to make any difference, and it won't. It just won't. I am a firm believer in you have 24 hours from an email being sent to respond to it. I am a firm believer in this, okay? If you send me an email Wednesday at 11:45 a.m., I have until 11:45 a.m. that Thursday to get back to you, okay? Even on the weekends, okay? If you send me an email at 10 a.m. on a Friday, I have until 10 a.m. that Monday to get back to you, okay? Business hours only, all right? I had a manager who would always tell me, nobody's dying, especially in the field of work that I'm in. It's like nothing ever is really that serious. It's not. 24 hours. That's my rule, and it should be everyone else's rule too. Number 8, LinkedIn. I just don't like LinkedIn. I don't like LinkedIn. And sometimes I feel like it can be a little bit too personal. I mean, don't get me wrong. LinkedIn is full of opportunities and networking, but I feel like it can be a little bit too personal. Also, I got to scrolling on there for a really long time the other night, and I was starting to compare myself to other people like in their career paths. And I was just, no. I mean, people receiving promotions, people receiving job offers in the field that I want to pursue. I was like, not this being like an Instagram, but, on a professional platform. It was also very overstimulating. It's very overstimulating. It's a lot going on the feed and the dashboard, seeing what everyone else likes and reposts and comments on. It's a lot. And I really need to check my settings to see if this is something I can turn off somehow. I also feel like people still judge you on LinkedIn, which is why many people may withhold certain information about themselves on their profiles, whether it's their real name, pictures, certain jobs, certain education. You just really don't know. You just don't know. And I feel like there are some other things I had to say about this platform, but I can't think right now. I just never been a fan of it. I never been a fan of LinkedIn, and I just made my LinkedIn account not too long ago. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of it. All right, number 9. This is another big one to me. This one really, really just, people who don't let you off and out of the elevator before they get in and on. Listen, this is how I feel with any door or quick form of transportation, okay? I honestly don't think I have much to say on this, and I honestly don't think many people even think about this, period. But this blows me. This really makes me so mad. If you need to get on the elevator, let the people off first, then you get on the elevator. And it's just not common sense to some people, and some of this stuff just go right over people's like heads. I don't know. I don't know. Number 10, people who are always late. I've talked about this on my other pet peeves episode, but I don't think I'll go in depth today. I just really don't like when people are late. I have always been a person who has been early, on time, whatever you want to call it. Being late, no. I know that shit happens that is completely out of everyone's control. Sometimes that happens, but constantly being late, it's not a good look. Number 11, team bonding activities. I do my absolute best to be a team player. I truly do, but I do not care for these things, especially if they are outside of work hours. And I never really understood team-related activities that were outside of work hours because people have kids to pick up and sometimes maybe even a 5 to 9 after their 9 to 5. At work, I'm already putting on my best acting skills. I'm doing the fake smiles, the fake laughs. So having to put on my best acting skills for an extended amount of time and potentially in a different setting, whether it's somewhere fun, a conference, whatever, I'd be so drained. It's so draining. Whew. Number 12. Another pet peeve of mine that can sometimes take place during these team bonding activities are company pictures. All right. Again, I do my best to be a team player. All right. I really, really do. But sometimes I remember in grade school, there was a form that had to be signed by our parents or guardians where we could either accept or decline having photos or videos taken of us. Right. Mainly because we were minors. And I think it was called some sort of media release form. And to summarize, it sort of asked if it was okay to have a child or student included in photos or videos that would potentially be shared publicly for media purposes, right? So these may have been photos of students on a field trip, class presentations, something of the sort. And they may have been displayed on maybe a school's website, brochure, whatever. You get the gist. I believe the same thing should be applied to adults. Just because I'm an adult does not mean I'm okay with having unauthorized photos of me taken and shared on a company's website or LinkedIn. This really bothers me. I remember walking into this little holiday get together at my job. My job was throwing this during the lunch hour, and this lady goes, "Hey, there's, Tia," and she names the rest of us. And she just starts snapping these photos of us without our permission. This really pissed me off. I'm telling you, this really had me upset. And what I wanted to say was, hey, can you delete those? In this work day specifically, I wore a sweatshirt and leggings and I think boots. I wasn't prepped for photos at all. This bothers me immensely, especially when I can't see the photos after they're taken. I need to be able to provide approval from beginning to end when it comes to company pictures. And even though there wouldn't even necessarily be a beginning to end, because most of the time it will always be a no. But I'm not a fan of company pictures. I just am not. All right. So my next few pet peeves pertain to my annoyance with either people who lack spatial awareness along with having spatial awareness. So just hear me out, okay? 13. We're on number 13. We're on pet peeve number 13. Not pushing your chair in after you get up. I feel like this is something we were taught in kindergarten. Also, I do my best to leave things the way I found them, and one of those things are chairs, okay? At my job, we have this conference room and the seats are all lined up, and to exit the conference room, you're going to have to get up and pass the chair of the person you sat beside. So just think about getting up and having to push in the chairs of others for you to exit successfully. 14, coughing or sneezing and not covering it. I don't even have to explain this one. 15, excessively loud typing. I understand if this is out of your control due to the type of keyboard that you have, but don't be extra, okay? No one likes a loud typer. Okay, number 16. We made it. This is the last one. You guys stuck with me throughout all of my complaints, and I just can't thank you enough. So number 16 is loud chewing and loud fragrances. So let me explain. This is one of those things I don't like that people are not considerate of, but I also get tired of being considerate of it myself. So back to the open floor plan. I try to remove myself when I know I have a super crunchy snack. I just do. And sometimes I wish others did the same. But I can only say but so much because people, they do what they want. At the end of the day, they are at their desk. So it is what it is. And people are also going to do whatever they want to do when it comes to fragrances that are loud and smell. And see, I'm always considerate. I tend to keep my fragrances light because I know some people are extremely sensitive to smells, or they may be allergic to certain scents, but not everyone thinks like that. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm tired of being considerate of others, but I also wish other people were considerate of me and other people. So anyways, thank you guys so much for listening and sticking through with all of my complaints. I just really had to get this stuff off my chest. Y'all just don't understand. Like I said, I really do appreciate you guys listening. I'm always so grateful. And make sure you guys follow, listen, and subscribe on Spotify, Anchor, and Apple Podcasts, okay? And make sure you guys follow the podcast Instagram at Thought of Thoughts Pod. And we will talk soon. Bye.